In this video, I struggled to put my tank back together after a 180-mile move to my new house. It doesn't go exactly as planned. Originally, I had planned to have my fish and coral in the tank the next day, but due to some hiccups, it would take over 48 hours until that would happen. Watch until the end to see how the new tank looks. What is up, Reef Bay? It is now time to put my tank back together. Here I have 3 40-pound bags of dry sand. I already regret the fact that I went with this sand. Since it was dry, I had to rinse it extensively of all dust and small particles. To rinse the sand, I stuck a hose in the bucket and let it overflow while stirring up the sand. It took about 15 minutes per bucket. And I forgot to rinse with RODI water before putting this sand in my tank, which was a big mistake. You will see later that I get a funky algae growing on my sand due to this. For $10 more per 40 pounds, I could have bought a pre-rinsed live sand, which would have been a much better option. I am laughing back at this part because what doofus sticks over 30 electronic pieces into one bucket and just tangles all the cords together for no rhyme or reason? So I spend the next probably 25 minutes in this video just untangling everything I have, and it's an absolute nightmare. So don't do that. I then put all my wave pumps and my return pump in a mixture of white vinegar and water just to have them nice and clean and crispy for the new tank. Here is a quick glance at my 40-gallon sump with the display tank on top of the new aluminum stand. It is now time to fill this puppy up with some salt water. At this point, I realize my tank is a little too far forward on the stand, so I move it back a little bit to make sure the plumbing can fit down the back. It's finally time to see what this 40-gallon sump looks like in its new stand, or at least I thought it was time. Here's a nice shot of my tidy whities. I was not able to angle in the sump from this front side, so it was time to return this expensive stand and give up on the project. I'm just kidding. I knew it would fit through the side. I was just trying to take a shortcut by going through the front. But here is the sump finally sliding in perfectly as designed. Now I just need to decide exactly where I want the sump. I like it here in the middle so I have enough room on the right side for a water bucket and ATO. And then on the left I can put my electronics and whatnot. Let's check out the plumbing and how it connects from the sump to the display tank. You see that just fell over because I am test fitting the plumbing coming down from the overflow into the sump. I have a gate valve that adjusts the speed of return of the water into the sump. My overflow box is plumbed in the bean animal style, so there is one main siphon that returns the majority of the water, and then there is a secondary siphon that will get excess water if the first one clogs up or gets slow. And then there's a third siphon, or actually it's not a siphon, it's an overflow pipe. It just makes a loud noise of water to warn that, your plumbing is way backed up. If you didn't watch the previous video, this is an existing tank that I moved to a new house, so that bean animal plumbing is already installed in the overflow. I just have to replumb the connecting pieces to the sump. Here I am using PVC primer and PVC cement to connect the PVC pipes together. This stuff is really fumey and you probably should not use it indoors. It was just really cold and I was being stubborn. So I just sat through the fumes and ended up seeing pink elephants after all this. But thankfully all the plumbing did stick together as well as I hoped for. I kind of just eyeballed the fittings and then put it in one shot and it worked out great. So I am very happy with how all the plumbing went. The first plumbing piece on the way left is the main siphon that is controlled with the gate valve. The next to that is the secondary siphon if the first siphon overflows or just takes on too much water. And over to the right is the overflow pipe. That pipe really should never be used, but in the case that there is a blockage, the water will come out there and splash on the top of the sump, which should make a loud noise and notify me that there is something wrong. Now that I have the sump and the plumbing connected, it's time to fill up the display tank with some more water. I also add a bunch more live rock that has been sitting in a brute trash can. I really struggle with putting this rock work back together. I was already stressed at this point, and then I just started to think that I'm just never going to get this tank to look good. I'd move one rock here, one rock there, but I just didn't really like anything that I came up with. It's now getting towards the end of the day after I moved the fish and tank in, and I'm realizing that I did not make enough salt water to fill the tank and the sump. It is now early in the morning of day 2 after moving the fish and new tank to my new house. There is now enough water in the display tank and sump to get the water properly circulating, which I'm very happy to see and hear the water trickling. This skimmer has not been running for more than 5 to 10 minutes and is going absolutely bananas. Some of my live rock has sat in a cold 60-degree bin for over 48 hours, and there's a lot of biological material that needs to be broken down. The first chamber of the sump is filter socks, the second is a skimmer, the third is Chaeto, and the fourth is the return. To the left of the sump, I have a bunch of tangled equipment that will be organized probably never. I have my pride and joy torches, frog spawn, and hammers in a holding tank next to this display tank, getting ready for the move. I am now getting all the rest of the coral out of my brute trash cans and live rock as well. I put in this big bird's nest that honestly looks absolutely horrible. It used to be really bright green and happy, and it's probably lost a half to a third of its branches and just looks brown and sad. I don't even know where to put these coral yet. My goal is just to get them in the tank, and I'll figure out placing them later in the week. Here comes the purple stylo, which looks a bit better than the bird's nest coral. It is kind of a weird job aquascaping with two large pieces. If anywhere I put them, they cast shadows underneath, so it's going to definitely present a challenge going forward. I'm not sure if I lost footage or what happened between now and the next day, but here is the next day with all of my live rock and coral placed. I'm very happy with how a clean sand bed looks. The fresh sand definitely makes a nice touch. I got my whole Zoa garden over here. I got my powder blue and Desjardins tang swimming happily. I got this awesome Euphilia garden in the middle. The frog spawn is just huge and open. The torches are pretty happy and open. I got some acans and blastomusas in the bottom. I'm honestly extremely happy with how this tank came together. I was getting a little bit worried when I was originally placing the live rock and the tank was all cloudy, and I just didn't really know what it was going to look like, and now it's looking pretty darn good. I am a little bit worried about this SPS corner over here. The bird's nest still hasn't really colored up and is pretty brown. But other than that, I do know that things just take time when you move and change corals environments. They're just not happy right away. What's up, reefers? This is Billy, the creator of this channel. I'm a software developer by trade who also loves reef tanks. I've created a mobile app called Reef Bay. I've been working on this app for the past 12 months, and I'm excited to share it with you. For starters, you can create a profile for your tank and track water parameters with beautiful graphs. I've also combined over 50 coral and fish websites into one searchable database, which makes finding the best price for any coral easy. There's a local marketplace where you can find deals from reefers near you. There's a task manager where you can get reminded to complete regular maintenance. There's a library where you can see real reviews from real reefers, plus a feed where you can engage with the community and ask questions. I would love for you to check out Reef Bay. That's reefbay.com/app. Thank you. Here's a poorly lit full stand view. I throw on my ski goggles, which act as a orange filter. You can see all the fish are looking pretty happy and pretty hungry. I'm starting to get a little bit of diatoms on the sand. This is definitely due to using tap water when cleaning the sand and not filtering it with RODI water. That was a mistake, but what can you do now? But other than that, I am very happy. I love these anthias, the male anthias, the two female. Got a chromis. So I ended up losing one chromis and one fox-face rabbitfish during the move. The chromis, to be honest, the chromis is a chromis, but the fox-face rabbitfish really kind of hit me home. Just was a really fun fish to watch. It would just eat nori and was just always come into the glass and, interacted more with people than a chromis did. So hopefully to get another one of those fish one day, but I don't think it will work in this tank as my powder blue tang is quite the bully, and he would probably bully any new smaller fish that comes into the tank. But we'll have to see what happens in the future. Here is a quick glance in the side panel where I keep the 5-gallon bucket for the ATO. Funny enough, it is completely empty and I need to fill that up. I really appreciate you if you made it this far in the video. Please don't forget to leave a like and a subscribe. It really helps out the algorithm. Also, comment down below if you have any questions about this tank or if you have any ideas of what you want to see next. Peace.